We are here at World of Concrete 2025 in Las Vegas, Nevada to bring you guys the first official coverage and show you this event inside and out. To get going, we're heading outside, check out some of these tool brands and more. Let's get to it. The outdoor area is by far one of my favorite places to go at these trade shows because it's all the tools. You have everything out here that you could possibly want to see. You get hands-on with some of this stuff, get to try it out before it hits the market. Let's see what we can find. The coolest part about all this is you get to get in depth. So they'll have everything on display, all of their products throughout the whole entire thing. They've got a little C-train here with the front cut out. It's pretty cool. Anything and everything in here.
New nailers from Bosch here.
New framing nailers. Oh, new finish nailers.
We're gonna do rapid fire mode just to play. Look at that.
That's quick.
Nobody does trim like that. But
that's pretty cool. I do use Bosch lasers though. They had a demo last year where they were falling this big old laser into a bucket of water. Thought that was pretty cool. Their stuff's resilient. This thing's rad. This is for scanning concrete and figuring out if there's rebar or anything in the concrete itself. So you'll scan this over it and it'll pop up here on this little LCD screen. That's pretty cool. So that little clear housed laser right there that we saw is this little guy right here. First off, this thing is pretty rad. It's a 360 laser, so this thing will shoot a laser all the way around, level, plumb, whatever you need it to be. But that green laser is pretty bright too. The coolest thing that I thought about that laser that he just demoed to us is the fact that inside of it, the housing is all fastened together with these little yellow pads. I don't know about you guys, but I've dropped every single laser that I've ever owned, and those are like shock absorbers, making it so that if it does take an impact, it's not gonna throw it out of calibration and you're still good. Now we just looked at this backpack here. He said it's the same size as the travel on. If you wanted to travel with it, you could. But this laser in here, charger, batteries, everything that you possibly need in a waterproof case. This was the demo I was talking about last year. That laser that's on the stand over there is a water resistant laser that can be out in the elements, which I think is pretty rad. When you're using something like that, you're typically going to be on a site that doesn't have a roof on it yet, and you need to be able to have something that if rain does show up, it's not going to kill the day. So we're going to go ahead and dunk this laser. It's turned on right now. It's still spinning. We're going to show you guys just how good this thing is. That's the kind of durability I need. Real quick, if you guys are at World of Concrete here in Las Vegas for 2025's show, I'm giving away $2,500 in tools and a gift card here at the House Pro booth. It's booth number N477 in the North Hall. You guys aren't gonna wanna miss this. It doesn't cost anything to enter. It's real quick. Come get a quick demo and you're entered to win a couple tool belts, a track saw, a nail gun, $200 gift card to Home Depot, and more. Don't miss it. You got nothing to lose and everything to gain. Let's get back to checking out the booth. So something new here from Bosch is the rear handle circular saw. They've never had one before. This is called the Bi-Turbo, brushless as well. Let's give it a run for its money, see what it's got. It's got some power, not gonna lie. That's awesome.
Smooth as butter.
It is. It packs a punch as well. Look at the cut. Sight down that bad boy. That's precision, eyeballed. Only I can do that. So we're gonna check out the Bosch rotary hammer here. We have a vacuum attachment. Getting rid of that dust that you breathe in when you cut or drill concrete is huge. That stuff's been killing people for a long time. So this attachment here hooks right up to a vacuum. As we drill, it should minimize a lot of that dust. Give it a shot. That thing's a beast. What size bit is this?
This is our inch and 9/16 rotary hammer.
Awesome.
Inch and 7/8, I'm sorry, inch and 7/8.
That's pretty cool. Minimizes a lot of that dust. Not breathing in so much of it. Wouldn't have to work with a mask or anything. This thing is a tank. Weighs a lot, but it's cool. Here we are with DeWalt. This booth is packed. They have a big battery pack for a lot of their outdoor concrete equipment. So this jumping jack over here has a very large battery up on the top section. Off to the left there, they've got a plate compactor. All of that's ran on a very large battery system that we'll go over and check out. So you can see everything charging up here in the back there. We've got some massive DeWalt batteries over there. We've got some huge flex volts off to the left there. These things are crazy. And that's how all of this here is operated. So you can see this big battery pack up here on the top and on the jumping jack over here. So DeWalt's got a whole lineup of hand tools over here. They've got drilling out here with what looks to be an Elite Series. That's a new bit right there. Nice little spade bit. Give it a run. That thing rips. But what I wanted to check out is this battery system over here. I haven't ever had a chance to look at it, and this thing is huge. A 15 amp hour flex volt. I could put this on my router, cut out like a million windows. That battery, size reference, that thing is huge. They've got some metal cutting over here going on. Let's see if we can check it out. We're gonna run a little demo with some rebar and their little DeWalt cordless cutoff saw. See what this thing's got. That thing's a beast. Thank you. See what else I got. This is the DCN 920, the framing nailer that I've been using as of recent. This thing is a beast. You have the option to put an extended mag on it. It carries 2 racks then of our framing nails that we use. This thing's been a game changer. That's gonna be a wrap on DeWalt. Let's go check out what Makita's got. Now we've got Diablo Tools over here. We have a full video coming with a ton of information on all their latest products and more. But for now, we'll splice in a couple clips and show you what they got. So we've got the 7 1/4 demo demon from Diablo here, ripping through some LVL all the way down. So right now we're looking at the 60-tooth wood demon from Diablo Tools. This is gonna be a perfect blade for finish. With rough framing, with pretty much anything that we do, we're not really after a super clean finish cut, but this blade right here, what it's gonna do is essentially polish the end of this cut right here. Nice, clean, slow cut. So when you look at that, that is buttery smooth. And this blade here, that 7 1/4 60 tooth, could be used in this little rear handle 36 volt, or it could be used in a small miter saw. But check this out in the light. That is nearly polished, and I can't emphasize enough that that cut is beautiful. So we're gonna give this fire and rescue blade a shot. We've got a pillar of a car here. That's wild. And that blade is still intact, not bent up. It's a thicker blade too, so I think if you were to hit something with the nose of it there, you can see it's pretty sharp. Not only is that gonna cut into some stuff, but it's not gonna bend as easy. If you've ever used a real thin Sawzall blade with a thin kerf, if you hit anything, that blade's gonna tweak and bend. This thing seems to be pretty strong. We are now at the Makita booth. Let's go check out that framing nailer that never got released to the States. I was pretty pumped on it, but never happened. This is gonna be chaos. There's so many people in here. That's actually pretty cool. Little holders on there for all your tools. Lock everything in. Bit case goes up there. Drop everything in here. Load this thing in the back of the truck and you're good to go. So the 40 volt setup from Makita is pretty rad. That's what the 10 1/4, the Bigfoot saw is ran on. Awesome platform. This is the Makita framing nailer that never made its way to the States. It's still not released. It was supposed to be released like 6 months ago. It's a pretty cool nailer, a little bulky, and being quite honest with you guys, I'm pretty sure that DeWalt would smoke it, but pretty cool nonetheless. So this was that 40 volt setup I was talking about from Makita. Currently the only people offering a 10 1/4, something capable of cutting a 4x6 in a cordless option. For years now, we've used what we call a Bigfoot, which is either a built 7 1/4 into a 10 1/4 or just a factory one, but they're all corded. Makita was the first person to come out with this 10 1/4, allowing you to cut something like this back here, a 4x12 in a single pass. Little rebar tying machine over here. I really want one, but look at how much wire goes into a single tie. I'm sorry, but that seems way too excessive. When you tie by hand, you're not using nearly as much waste. Look at this. That is a grip of wire. So this is what Makita calls their driving innovation tour, which is their big tour bus that they take around, and they showcase everything that they've got. This is an XGT, a Quiet Series, 68 dB, little cordless compressor. That's pretty rad. They've got a buffer up there, all their grinders, all their cutting, vacuums, SDS rotary hammers, and more. All pulled with this beast of a truck, an F650. Modular storage has been a very popular topic amongst every tool brand. Milwaukee started it first with the pack outs. DeWalt followed shortly after, and now Makita's got everything that we've got here called the Mac Track. You can see everything. They've got rolling toolboxes, large toolboxes, low profile organizers, and everything in between. All this stuff stacks and compiles together, keeping tools organized. That's gonna be a wrap on Makita. It's been fun. Let's look at some tractors. This is by far one of my favorite things to look at out here at this show, just due to how big and insane some of these pieces of equipment really are. So Extreme always puts on out here at World of Concrete, and it's by far one of my favorite things to look at because I love machinery. I love reach lifts. Last year they had one that topped everything. They had a big machine that was custom built for loading on roof panels. It had big old tracks. This year it's not out here, but we still have some really nice 8, 10, 12K machines that we can look at. These things are far bigger than we would ever use on a rough framing site. This machine is insanely huge. The reach lifts that we've used in the past are 8 and 10Ks and don't have anywhere near the reach or the lifting capacity as something like this here. But when you get into the big industrial job, the big commercial spaces, like the front of the building that they're renovating now, that's where something like this comes into play. For size reference, that's a big one. This is a little more like something we'd use on a framing site. This little cute one over here. A little bit smaller. This is a 6K, but still a nice machine. Perfect for moving around material, lifting a couple walls up. You don't need something with a 120-foot reach when you're building a 2-story home. That's enough of the Extreme booth. Let's go check out the next one. When I originally planned on building the studio, what I wanted to do was a concrete floor, and I wanted to polish it. And the reason for that is because this looks amazing. It's a big process, and it's something that I've never even dealt with before. We have subcontractors that do that, but the process is pretty cool, and that's what Husqvarna here is focusing on, is this concrete finishing. We have different machines for different things. You have some that are going to grind the surface down and show that aggregate. You have others that are going to come through with different stages of polishing, and it eventually turns a rough surface into something that looks like this. Unfortunately, we don't have a concrete slab to do that with, so we switched to LVP. One of my favorite things from last year was this hands-off demo tool. Lately, we've been talking a lot about robots, autonomy, stuff like that. This little machine right here, you don't have to sit in it. You control it by a little remote, and you can go through, pick stuff up, break stuff apart, anything you needed to do. Pretty cool technology here. I want one of these little things. That's cool. That's a pretty cool little machine. Would help me doing concrete by myself. I got a lot to pour. Might invest in one of those. Likely not going to buy a name brand like Husqvarna. I'm probably going to get one of the off brands from over there. Let's check out what Hilti has to offer. I can't afford the majority of Hilti tools, but the stuff that they put out, I feel like you buy it once and you never have to buy anything else again. Check this out. They have an exoskeleton, right? This is a little back piece that you're going to put on, and it has supports that go around the bottom side of your arms here and make it so that you can do overhead work with ease. Same thing over here. This one's battery operated, but backpack once again up and over the top of you with a lanyard so that you can hold tools like this and you're not stuck carrying everything. And this doesn't weigh a whole lot at all. Now I talked about the J-Bot a little bit. This machine right here in the robot video that we just did with the rotary hammer up there at the top. This thing's going to precisely lay out and drill holes up into the ceiling or wherever you wanted them to be drilled at, all controlled by lasers, a CAD file, and your plan. Pretty dang cool. Now Hilti has a whole lineup of tools. all of your cutting, all of your drilling, anything that you need to do. The problem is a lot of them are really expensive and they're not really catered towards carpenters. But they have a whole wall with everything that they've got available right there. They have the rear handle saw over here that I've never used before, but I'm gonna see if they'll let me rip this thing. So this is the saw that I wanted to check out. The Hilti rear handle saw. This thing is super light, but there's no battery in it. Can't do anything. We have a Hilti miter saw. Give this thing a shot. Nice clean cut. That's a big saw. I like the table there with it. They have it hooked up to a dust extraction as well, to a little vacuum on the backside. I need to get one of those. They've got all of their drilling over here, metal cutting, metal grinding, vacuums. Similar to what we saw over at Bosch, we've got big rotary hammer hooked up to what looks to be the same exact vacuum port that Bosch had. Pretty cool stuff. That's gonna be about it for the outdoor space here. We checked out quite a bit. A lot of different tools, a lot of different companies, and a lot of different things. But let's head inside to Central Hall, see what they've got in there. So we're at the front of Central Hall right now. A lot of big concrete products. We've got big plate compactors right here. Looks like we've got scaffolding, shaping the future, bunch of safety, PPE stuff. Once again, another heavy duty form setup here, big panels. These things are insane. This would be for pouring massive walls. This is what I plan to do underneath the studio once we get time and once it thaws out. We're putting sauna tubes just like this in. We're gonna place those on the corners and in the center, and what that's gonna support all the corners and mid-span. These things are super easy to use. You just stick them on the ground, stake around them, pour, and it comes out nice and clean. So years ago on the channel, we used a handful of levels from a company called Keeson. We also had Sola out there. To this day, those levels are still really, really nice. They've got a whole wall of hand tools, other stuff here, measuring tools, some levels, and then on the back side we have the counterpart Sola. These levels are high quality, durable. The one that we had, I don't even know if they have it out. We had a 4-foot digital and the thing was great. It's been like 7 years and the thing's still rock solid. So we just got a quick little demo from Sola on the digital level here. And one of the coolest things is this overall screen that we've got up here. What this is doing, you can see it's adjusting as we can put it in degrees as well. So there's about 20 degrees. It's a digital readout from the levels here to the iPad. It's an app that you would download. I asked what the best use for this would be, and they mentioned like commercial doors or any sort of big project where you need to make sure that when you leave the project, everything's nice and level, plumb as well. And if something does go out of plumb or out of level, you know that you left it good and it might have been somebody else. So what they'll do is they'll go through on commercial doors once everything's set, go through and plumb all of them up, confirm it with this, take a picture, and they have their documentation. And then if they get messed up, they know somebody else did it. Not really a use case for residential, but commercial, it's kind of rad. Check this out. It's a vacuum. It's going to suction on and you're able to pick stuff up. That's a nice little concrete slab there. That's got to weigh a couple 100 pounds. How much can that pick up? 4,400 pounds that thing can pick up. It's a vacuum on the end there, and what it's going to do is suction and let all that air out and really clamp it down, and it's able to pick up 4,400 pounds. He said you can upgrade to 6,600 pounds. This is the slowest I've ever seen this show. We've been here for a handful of years, and normally it's pretty packed. Right now we are in Central Hall, so we are in the main indoor space. This is where all the biggest brands are. We have Toro, we have John Deere, we have Bobcat, Wacker Neuson. Every big company is right here, and this space is not as busy as it normally is. A lot of big equipment in here, stuff that I don't even understand how they got it in here, but they did. I said the same thing last year. I don't know what half of this stuff is. I couldn't tell you what this thing does. The world's most intelligent pavers easily converts to transport mode. One person job, pave with pride. One person job, $2 million machine. That's pretty cool. This is one of the biggest concrete pumps that I've ever seen in my life. This thing is huge. I don't know what the reach is on this thing, but when we pour something that we can't exactly get to, we use a boom pump like this. It's like a crane, and this thing's gonna be able to go out wherever it needs to. Concrete's gonna get fed into this thing, up through the hose all the way to the backside, and then drop down at the very end. It's used for when you can't hit stuff with a traditional line pump or just tailgating out of the back of a truck. These things are expensive for the small ones that you guys have seen us use. Can't even imagine what this would cost to rent. This is how crazy the reach is on this machine. This is from AJ's Concrete Pumping. This machine right here is insane. So check this out. This is where it starts, right here. But follow me. Over that booth, all the way to the other side, you can see the very end of it over there. That thing can hit a mile away. is incredible. Nothing runs like a deer except for like a Kubota. We're now into John Deere's booth. I am this close to needing a machine like this. Not quite that big, but a little smaller. Check out this skid steer over here. A brand new John Deere skid steer like this, it's like $120,000, $140,000. This is a fairly big one. Beautiful though, enclosed cab. They'll have AC, a ton of new features inside of there. It's incredible. So this has smart grade, meaning a lot of this stuff is computer operated. It's got features that most old skid steers that you or I have probably used don't have. This thing is insane. Kyle with RR Buildings just talked about how he's got a ton of new features on his excavator to where he can dig and know exact elevations. This has something similar so that you can grade and know the exact elevation of what you're grading. You're not going too deep, you're not going too high. Pretty cool booth that John Deere's got. Hopefully one day I own something like that. But in the meantime, let's go check out Bobcat. I think these are a little bit more affordable, more my style. Nice little mini. What on earth is this little thing? Little compactor. Trench rollers is what it's called. That thing's pretty cool. It's controlled by little hand controls. So back in the day, my grandfather used to do all of his dirt work with a backhoe like this. He was a heavy believer in being able to grade everything with the front and then dig with the back here. Things are a lot different nowadays. Now we use a skid steer for a lot of the flat work and we'll get a mini excavator out there to dig everything. But my grandfather and a lot of the older generation, a good backhoe is all they need. So we checked out John Deere. We checked out Bobcat. It's only right that we check out Cat. Some big equipment. That thing's huge. This is what I need. You imagine me owning something like this? I don't even know what I'd do with it. Air conditioning, nice windshield. You have a radio, hazards, 2 screens here. What does this thing cost? You know how much it costs. Rough idea. 250 to 300,000? Wow, that is a nice machine. All the bells and whistles. Should never get down a ladder. Forward. Check out this thing. This is the mini I want, and this is the mini I can afford. I'm just kidding. That's a nice machine. I wouldn't mind that. Pretty cool booth. Wait up. Cat telehandlers. What do we have here? A little 8 or a 10K machine? Looks like a little 10K. 8K 42 foot, 10K 55, 12K 55. Those are nice machines. Big old outriggers here. Look at the tires on this thing. That is a unit of a machine right there. That thing's beautiful. Would last forever too. We're heading to Magni America. The machine that I would absolutely love to have. I think it's the one machine that solves all problems. In construction with framing specifically, oftentimes we're using reach lifts like that, but sometimes you have a spot that you might need to rotate a little bit. That's where Magni comes into play. It's a reach lift, it's a telescoping reach lift, meaning that this thing can set up station, boom up, boom out, and then swivel around like a crane. Thing's insane. They're not cheap. I would love to own one of these machines. Check this out. So this is Magni's traditional reach lift. This is no different than a normal reach lift. This is going to boom up, boom out, and drive. Traditional, right? Looks no different than any other. This is what I'm talking about. We have a telescoping with a rotating base here. You're gonna set this thing up on site, similar to a crane. You've got your pads down here. This thing's gonna come off the ground. You have the boom, this thing goes out and it rotates. So what you could do, instead of having a crane come out and set all of our trusses, you could set this thing down on the side of a building, rotate, pick a truss up, over, and set it. Costs a lot, but it would solve a ton of problems. Now this show really isn't for me. Being remodeling, new construction, IBS, the International Builders Show, is more catered to us. So I'm showing you guys what I think is interesting here at World of Concrete. If you want to see everything though, we have a video coming out tomorrow, an uncut, it's a long one, so stay tuned for that. That shows everything from the show. It'll be as if you're here on ground zero, walking through, seeing every single booth at the show. Stay tuned for that, it's coming tomorrow. We are now at the South Hall. If you guys ever come to World of Concrete or the International Builders Show, wear good shoes and plan to walk a lot. We've covered some ground today. South Hall, let's check it out. We're gonna stop by a booth that we all know and we all love, Quikrete. We're gonna see what they've got, check out maybe a couple of the demos that they've got going. I don't know what's going on, but, oh. I was expecting it to be heavy. Robots, autonomy, 3D printing using the Fanuc Robot CRX25IA. This is exactly what we were talking about here. This is a 3D printing robot that's going to allow you to build out wall assemblies for anything that you wanted to build out. And you can see right here an example of what we've got, and exterior finish as well, which is pretty cool. We have a brick on the outside here, a stucco, and a veneer here. You can see that they go through. They've got embedded rebar doweled in, and then they've got insulating foam throughout the other cavities here. This wall assembly, while it might look a little weird, is awesome. Very energy efficient. I still want to try to find a home built with layers just like this. See if we can walk it. But that's cool. This is kind of cool. Craft Tool Co. These are like a plastic. Channel surface lines, move and level material, low friction floating action, open surface quicker / longer, long wearing engineered material, easy to clean. Yeah, I bet. Looks like it's 3D printed. This would be for making your grooves here. KO20 material. It feels like plastic. I could be wrong though. Easier to clean? Maybe. A lot of different products over there in South Hall, but there wasn't the most over there. We're gonna head back into Central Hall and skip up to North Hall and see what we can find there. There's a lot of smaller companies, a lot of smaller tech companies, but there's also a lot of really big machinery like this here. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I don't know what this thing does, but it's huge. And I love looking at stuff like this. Self-erecting mobile batch plant, same exact thing. That's pretty cool. A lot of this big equipment, I really don't know what it is, but it's really cool to look at. We have a big emphasis on safety this time, so we're seeing a lot of lanyards, a lot of fall protections, a lot of PPE, which is pretty cool. I'm glad it's being highlighted more. But let's cruise through here and see what we can find. So this product stood out to me. Owens Corning did something similar where it's called Pink Bar. It was a fiberglass rebar. This is called Light Bar. It says corrosion-free, lightweight, non-conductive, superior in strength, and installs like steel. You'd have to have some pre-bent corners, but I love the idea of a lighter rebar. Rebar is heavy enough as is. Pro-grade foam. Prevents driveways and sidewalks from shifting, heavy cracking, bonds to concrete. So you would put this down and then pour over the top of it. That's what they have demonstrated here. It would act as an insulating property as well. This is pretty cool though. You guys have seen concrete forming. I'm not sure the actual politically correct names for everything, but the little rods that go through and hold both sides of the form to where it doesn't blow out. This is a little bit bigger scale. This is huge. And you can see locking this thing together. I don't even know what you would need this to pour, but these things are huge. This is the biggest set of forms I've ever seen. Check this thing out. Robot 557. I don't really know what it does. Automated concrete removal. So this is an automated concrete removal tool. With Conjet's technology, which we call automated concrete removal, our 35 years of experience developing hydro demolition robots is available to you at the push of a button. With Conjet ACR, you can let the robot do the hard work. The Conjet One control system allows operators to easily set removal parameters. So this thing's gonna come in on road work or on a tunnel like we had that little demo over there and tear off the concrete from whatever it needs to. It can work at a pretty tall height too. Look at this thing. As we move more and more into the future, this is becoming a very common thing. Take away the hard work from people and let them do the easy stuff. I want one of these so bad. I looked at them last year. I need to pull the trigger and just buy one. Power Screeder. This thing is perfect for doing concrete. You can do it by yourself too. Instead of going through and tamping down and overworking your body, you just fire one of these little guys up, pull the trigger on her and let her go. This thing's basically gonna push all the aggregate down just a little bit, get you that cream up on top. It would make pouring pretty easy. And since I'm doing a lot of stuff by myself these days, I need one of these things. Over here though, they've got more concrete stuff. I haven't seen that before. Oh, it's got a level built into it too. Look at this little guy here. Quick and easy little screed with a level built into the top there. So that's pretty cool. I've poured a lot of stuff out of level. That would help. Something I've wanted to get into for a long time, but I haven't, just because it's a pretty big investment, is stamped concrete. These things are pretty cool. You've got these rollers here with these stamps built in. So traditionally, the way that it would be done is you'd have a big mat and you overlay these mats one over the other and it creates that stamp. But with these rollers like this, you could take this one right here and just roll this all the way across and your little pattern is built in here. I don't know what these cost. $1,615 $50 for the cobblestone rock and roller. That's worth it. That's about the thickness of a walkway too. Just cruise around with that thing, make a decent pattern. My mic died at the show, but that is a wrap on our World of Concrete 2025 coverage. I hope you guys enjoyed getting a look into the show inside and out. Some of my favorite things, tech and innovation that we haven't ever seen before, some stuff that we watched recently on that robot video, and more. Stay tuned. Tomorrow we're dropping a full long video showing everything from the tour. You guys will be walking down the halls the same way that we did today. Looking forward to showing you that. I'll see you guys next time.